So for the first part of this question, I'm looking at cumulative frequency. I've got some information about weekly wages, I've got wage information here, and I've got frequency information in this column. I need to complete a cumulative frequency table. So this is where the frequency accumulates as we move on. So notice here, 100 to 200, which is exactly what we had here. The cumulative frequency, everybody up to this point, is 8. This is now 100 to 300. 100 all the way through to 300, which means that I need both of these, which makes me up to 23. I then went 100 to 400, 100 to 400, so I need these first 3. So I need the first 2 that I had before, add on the 30, makes me 53. And you can guess what we're going to do now. It's all the way up from 100 to 500, so it's 1 down to here, so it's the sum of the first 4. Well, I've already got the sum of the first 3, that was 53, just need to add on the latest one, which is 17, which makes me up to 70. Add on the 7, takes me to 77, and add on the 3, takes me to 80. Quick check, I was told originally that this was a group frequency table with weekly wages for 80 factory workers, and I do have 80 factory workers in here. For the next part of this question, I need to draw a cumulative frequency graph. Cumulative frequency I always plot at the ends of my intervals. So I'm going to plot at 200, 300, 400 and so on. So on my graph I go to 200 and then as high as 8, and marking this as neatly as I can. There's my first point, and continue to plot 300 to 23 and so on. Importantly, once I've got all of my points plotted, I'm going to join them together using a nice, smooth curve. Trying to go through all of my points. This should start at 100 because my graph starts at 100. So let's just change that because that's not very nice. Starting from 100. There we go, much better. Best to use pencil, then if you make a mistake like I do, you can always change it. Okay, in the next part of this question, we're asked to use our graph to find an estimate for the interquartile range. Now the interquartile range is going to be the difference between the upper quartile, so the upper 3 quarters, and the lower quartile, or the lower quarter. So the upper quartile, I'm going to find from the upper 3 quarters, so I want 3 quarters of 80, which takes me to 60. And if I read down from 60, I end up here at 410, 420. Now I need my lower quartile. A quarter of 80 is 20. Read across to my graph, and then down, and that looks like about 270. $420, take away 270, leaves me with, I believe, 150. So the interquartile range is £150. Finally, we need to use our graph to find an estimate for the number of workers whose weekly wage is more than £530. So now we're just going to use our graph in the other way. So I'm going to read across from 500 to 530, read up to my line, and then read across from my line, and here it looks like we're at 74. My advice to you would be to use a very sharp pencil, and when you're doing these sorts of constructions, use a ruler, okay? Don't use wonky wavy lines like me. Nice ruler, nice and straight, correct answers.